Most women don't trust themselves, not because they're weak or broken, because of years of conditioning. Shame, guilt, toxic love have got them doubting every single gut feeling they've ever had. So today, I'm going to help you rebuild that trust so your gut feeling becomes a guide and a compass. But before we get into today's theme, which is self-trust, let's do a little nervous system check-in question. And all I'm going to ask you is, how are you feeling today? And I want you to bypass the surface level nonsense of the mind and get to the nervous system and ask your gut. Ask your gut, how am I feeling today? Because that gut won't lie. It will give you honest feedback. And when you come to the conclusion, and if you're brave enough, just summarise it in one word for me. And whatever word comes up, it's got to give you the feedback. It's got to say, do you know what? We're living in survival this week, or we're living in safety. So pop it in the comments, and let's get a general feeling, vibe for today. Right, today's walk and talk with the main man here. Where is he? Rambo. Alright son, saying hello? He's saying hello. And this is the last episode of the Wounded Woman, right? The Wounded Woman series. And we're going to wrap everything up today. And one of the big things I always ask you these questions and to check in with yourself is, I always remember one of my clients. She says to me, Stuart, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. And I says, why? She says, because I keep going back to a muppet fucking ex who is no good for me. And I just don't have any control over it. He controls my emotions and I always run back to him. And I says, that's okay. That's okay. And here's the truth, man. Here's the truth. Every time we ignore our gut feeling, we always end up back in that same self-sabotage, don't we? We always do. So I'm going to share her story with you today. I'm going to share her story. And it all started like it does with every client of mine. We get on a little onboarding call and I ask them how or why. Why have you joined? Where are you? Where are you in life at the moment? What's your biggest struggle? And let's see how I can help you put a plan of action in to help you move forward. And she says, well, I'm struggling with my self-worth, my self-esteem, and as you're already aware there, I cannot seem to shake this relationship with mine, this 2-year relationship that's causing me mental, emotional and physical chaos. I'm losing myself, I'm questioning myself, I'm feeling tired and drained with it, and I keep on fucking running back to it, and I don't know why. And she goes on to explain the actions of her ex, like he is emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, not physically. She says it amplifies every time he goes out for a drink or a night out and he has a few drinks. He switches, he blames me for texting other people, for cheating, he puts me down, he downgrades me, and we fall out and argue, and I say I'm not coming back, and that's it over. And then the same cycle happens. He speaks me round, he talks me round, he says, I'll never do it again. I'm going to change. How many times have you heard that? I'm going to change. And then I give him a chance because I feel fucking sorry for him. I feel that I don't have the worth, the self-worth, the self-esteem, the bottle to actually finish things. And then when I get back, the same cycle just repeats itself. Just repeats itself, man. And I says, still, that's okay. That's okay. That is okay. And that's the question I'm going to ask you, is have you ever ignored your gut feeling and ran back to a fucking Muppet. And what was the consequences? What was the consequences? Eh? What was the consequences? You there, Rambo? You still there? My boy's still there. Yeah, come on in. There he is. He's on the lead and he's happy because he's like, yes, this is the last part in this series, in this woodblock. He doesn't like the atmosphere. He doesn't like the little twiggies on his paws. But he's a wee soldier. He's didn't call him Rambo for nothing, did I? I did not call him Rambo for nothing. He's charging on, but he's delighted when I says this is the last one here the day, Rambo son, we wrap up this series. So it is. So anyway, this is the next steps. I was like, right, let's get a fucking plan of action together. And I said, we're going to work on a little 5-step process to finally get you trusting together. And if you've been here from the very, very start of the Wounded Woman series, I'm bloody fumbling over my fucking words here. If you've been here from the very, very, come on son, if you've been here from the very, very start of this series, these steps I give all my clients will sound very, very, very familiar. The biggest thing for me is you can't skip any of these steps. You have to start from the very first one and work your way up the ladder to here, to self-trust, right? To self-trust. And a big thing for me, it's no any woo-woo nonsense. It's no any shiny coaching or woo-woo or fucking shiny podcasts like tap into your intuition and blah, blah, blah. It's just real structure, accountability and actionable steps that are actually finally going to make you choose you, man. Choose you, to trust you, to continually make promises to yourself and keep them, to trust that you have the ability to walk away from Muppets and toxic ex and toxic love or just anyone in your life who isn't particularly good for you or any sign of disrespect, to be honest. And the first step is self-awareness. And with every client of mine and this particular client, it's shining a light on the wound that's been driving their behaviour to connect the dots, so she sees that she's not actually broken, she's not actually weak, it's not actually about willpower. There's been an underlying driver, there's been an unconscious driver there to why she keeps running back to Muppets, why she keeps sabotaging herself with wine and food. And it's there, that underlying wound. It's the self-awareness part first and foremost. And that's what I get every client to do, is ask a nice simple question. Right, so we know what we're working with and we know what the goal of this 6-month healing journey, because that's the length of my programme, that's the length I believe it takes to implement change. And it is this one question that if you've been here from the start you'll be well aware of, is what was the one thing you wish you heard more of as a child? And that's what I asked her. I says, what's the one thing you wish you heard more of as a child? And I said, go into the relationship with your mum and dad. Right, starting with your mum. She's like, my mum was fine, my mum gave me love and conditioning. I says, what about your dad? She's like, it was probably the opposite of that. It was hot and cold, it was inconsistency, it was always seeking my dad's validation, wanting him to tell me that he loved me, that he was proud of me, that I was doing well, that I was safe. And I says, okay. I says, what was your mum and dad's relationship like? And she said, My mum always ran after my dad. My mum always made him his dinners. She always done everything for him. And I says, what was your dad's whole demeanour? What was your dad's attitude towards your mum? He said he would speak to her like shit. He would put her down. He would disrespect her. I says, okay. And then she says they broke up. He left for another woman when I was a teenager. So what I said to her there is, there we go. There we go. Now we're starting to connect the dots. Come on, Rambo son. We now have the wind, what you've been searching for in toxic love. Right, we've got that father wind. You've been searching for that safety, for fucking muppets to tell you that they love you, that they're proud of you. When these absolute muppets are very, very similar to your dad, they're a wounded boy who aren't capable, right? Who aren't capable. And when I started to connect that dot and make it clear, look, this is what we're working with. It's not been you. Right? There's been an unconscious wound there, just driving your behaviour. And the longer that drives your behaviour, years and years and years, and the more we think it's us, is this just who I am? Is this how I end up in the same toxic relationships all the time, situations or whatever it may be? The more it has an impact on our self-belief, on our... I honestly thought that was a fucking bear there. It's not. I was like a fucking bear, a bear in Spain. Shut up. Oh, right, the more I've lost my train of thought, I fucking get a fright, so I did. I get a fright. Where was I? Let's get back to it. Yeah, the more we, where was I? I can't remember where I was. I get that much of a fright. I was like, fucking hell, is that a bear? Yeah, we were on the self-awareness part about the wind and showing the wind and connecting the dots for her, so she realised, like, wait a minute here, that years and years of these stories, the story I've been telling myself has been impacting my self-esteem, and the more relationships that I've got into with men treating me like fucking shite, the smaller and smaller my voice has got by speaking up for myself, but the louder it's got with saying you're not actually good enough. And for every client it's a light bulb moment, and it'll be a light bulb moment for you too, right? And that's the first step. The first step is shining awareness on the wind and where it's originated from and how it's actually played out in our adult life. And then I moved it to the next step. I was like, right, now you can see it's been conditioned. That voice in your head is conditioning, right? It's been inserted, it's been programmed there by someone else. And when we realise, shit, that voice in my head might not even be my voice. It's someone else's. It makes the process a lot easier to start accepting. Start the self-acceptance. Start the journey to go, it's okay. It's okay to be me. It's okay to have flaws. It's okay to have insecurities. It's okay that I ran back to a fucking muppet over and over, because you know what? That voice in my head for years and years has not been mine, and I've not even fucking realised that. So that process of connecting the dots, to starting to understand that voice in our head no longer deserves to be there. That it is now our responsibility to start reframing it, to start reprogramming it, to start that journey of self-love, which is step number 3. Step number 3, and this is where accountability, structure and a plan are so important on your healing journey. right? Because it's all good and well having this knowledge about the self-awareness of the wound, why it's been driving your behaviour, to the self-acceptance part, knowing the voice in my head isn't mine. I know it's conditioning now. I can start to accept myself for all of who I am, the messy, the insecurities, whatever it may be, the little quirks that I have that I don't quite like, is here. Is self-love is step number 3. The process of structure, of accountability. And the one framework I implement, right, with this client and all my clients was the healing triangle. Physical health, mental health, and their emotional health. A little triangle. And they 3 are interconnected, right? The interconnectedness of all 3. We have to work on the lot of them, right, at the same time. So we have coping skills, coping strategies, so we can deal with life's pressures, life's stresses. And you'll know exactly what I mean. When you're not exercising or eating healthy, your mental and emotional health are well out of sync, aren't they? You're feeling tired, stressed, and you're getting triggered the shit out of, and you're being reactive in life. So a big one for me is the nurturing process through structure, through safety, through guidance, through these 3 areas. And I brought her in and I got her started very, very simply with moving her body through exercise, giving her an exercise plan, giving her some simple daily non-negotiables around her physical health, like getting out, getting a walk in, drinking 1.5 litres of water per day. And a big one she struggled with was glasses of wine at night and snacking, as I put in a boundary for her. Right, no food after 8 p.m, no food or wine. Right, that is a cut off. And we go into a little fasting period, because that's where she was doing the damage. Feeling lonely, feeling a wee bit overwhelmed and stressed for the day, and our go-to was that. It was, right, going to the fridge, cracking open the wine, and we replaced that with a walk, right, 8 o'clock, getting out, a little walk, getting out, getting some steps in for the day. And working on the big one, just working on our nutrition, simplifying it, focusing on more so mindful eating and listening to our body. So in this self-love part, it was pretty much starting the foundations, right, of self-respect, of building self-worth, building her self-esteem, through proving to herself that she could implement these little daily habits and non-negotiables. And the more she achieved these little daily goals each day, the voice in her head started to change. It started to speak to her better, because she was achieving little simple daily tasks that were helping her move forward with her well-being, that were constructive to her mental health, how she was feeling on a daily basis, being able to deal with life's pressures. And then the mental aspect of it was just about building, right? Building routine, helping her build routines, right? Simplifying life, morning routines, work routine, evening routine, and then working on the habit that was obviously holding her back, her go-to to self-soothe, which was the wine, the binge eating at night, and of course the people pleasing, the going back to the Muppet. And then the emotional side of things, right? The emotional side of things, when we had the physical and mental taken care of, she started feeling emotionally, right, in tune. She started feeling emotionally safe. She started to trust herself in the process. And all this was measured just by weekly check-ins, checking in, making sure she was okay every Sunday, giving me feedback to move her forward, and start that process, that nurturing process of self-love. of giving her the words that she was missing every single day for her dad, such as, I love you, I'm proud of you, it's safe. And she started turning seeking that external validation into internal validation through little daily actions, tasks, achieving little simple goals, to putting her, to reframing the story, the conditioning in her head, to reframing the conditioning, right? Reframing that conditioning. And then step 4 came self-control, right? Self-control, managing her triggers on a daily basis, because we know, well, triggers happen all the time, don't they? And the biggest one for this client was a Saturday night. Her loneliness usually got the better of her, and this is 9 times out of 10 when she broke and went back to the fucking Muppet. She'd be sitting in a Saturday, a few glasses of wine, and that impulse to text him would just be too overriding. And then before she knew it, she was in that cycle of fucking toxicity again, of hating herself for going back there. And this is what glues everything together, right? Is the self-control, is working on the impulses, sitting through the uncomfortableness of the loneliness, of reminding yourself, this is the journey I'm on, of finally saying no, thank you, of finally saying fuck off to the Muppets. So the self-control part, right, was what was gluing it all together. Is because she went through the 3 steps, she was finally able just to say no and put herself first, put her own safety first, put that little girl that she buried so far deep for childhood first, put that little girl first, put her needs first, put her unmet needs first and foremost. And when we glue it all together with self-control, that gave her the foundation. It gave her the foundation to move on to the next step, where we could finally start reparenting, the reparenting process, the self-improvement, right? The self-improvement part, reparenting the little girl, right? Giving her the, what am I looking for? Feeding, giving her the feeding of safety every single day. The feeding of safety every single day was through following these steps, following this framework, following this structure, this accountability. She was feeding her safety through action, through daily actions of self-care, of self-love. She was feeding the voice positivity. She was feeding the voice, listen, I'm here for you now, it's safe. She was feeding that little girl anytime she was feeling vulnerable. She was feeding her reassurance. She was starting to be the adult in the relationship. She was starting to be the parent that she never ever had. So she was starting to be that. Right? She was feeding her safety. She was leading her. Right? Leading her, that was it. Leading her. Through structure, accountability, leading her. Right? Through reassuring her when she's vulnerable. And the big one, right, that I get all my clients to do, right, over the course of their journeys is fucking laugh, enjoy it, smile. It's not an easy process, but we do it by letting that little girl inside play, letting them play. Let her play, man. Let her be mischievous. Let her go wild. Let her be free. I give them all little tasks. And the little tasks are just very simple. Get back to childhood. Get back to the things that you love doing. Get back to the freedom of it. Right? The absolute freedom of just letting your inner child, letting that girl play. Right? Instead of having to always be the strong one, having the armour up, And what we started and what we did with the process was shatter that armour of survival that wasn't built out of choice. It was conditioned, wasn't it? It was conditioned for her. It was conditioned. And when we start to let her play, right, let the inner child play, this then wraps everything up, doesn't it, with the trust in yourself, the trust in your gut feeling. That what we did over the course of that 6-month period, working on the healing triangle with the exercise plan, the nutrition, the foundations, to working through all the modules that we did, inner child, attachment, inner teen, boundaries, nervous system safety, it gave her a real sense of self-respect, self-belief, self-worth, believing in herself, that she was capable now of making good choices. Choices not based on the chaos and survival that she was brought up in, to choices through safety, through knowing that the choices she's making is through her own voice and not through a voice that was conditioned there. And that trust is what that trust that she formed, right, was just through this simple framework I've walked you through. Right, simple framework. And I'm not saying it's a easy framework or it's an easy journey, but it's something that now you can connect the dots with. Now you can see, right, it's step by step. And as I always say, you cannot skip the steps. And if you're new here watching this for the first time, go back to part 1 and start from self, right? Self-awareness, why you sabotage yourself, and work your way through, right? Work your way through the parts, and you'll come to here, trusting yourself, trusting your gut. Right? It's not an overnight process. It's not a magic bloody formula, is it? It's not I'm not giving you any fucking woo-woo stuff, or I'm not throwing fairy dust on you, and I'm not mollycoddling you. I'm just going, here's the steps. If you want to trust yourself and finally listen to your gut feeling, here it is. It's up to you. It's up to you now. Right? It's your responsibility to make that happen, innit? So that finally, right, wraps up the Wounded Woman series, which, to be honest, I've absolutely loved it. I love these walking talks. I love the rawness of them. I love the feedback so far. I love walking beside you and just chatting away and asking you good questions and reflections and bringing you on board and getting you thinking, getting you going yourself. It's been amazing. It's been tremendous. It is indeed. Isn't it, Rambo son? Isn't it, boy? We're wrapping this up. So although we're wrapping up one series, it doesn't stop there. The journey doesn't stop there. And next Sunday we're going to be back with a brand new series called The Healed. Right, the healed women. The healed women, yes, the healed women in 6 steps or 6 codes. Never to get back to chaos again. Right, so the healed women is the next series. So as always, if any of this resonates, any it goes fuck, I need some of that too, and just go to the description. I've left a little link for the Shadow Reset Trial Month, which every woman who comes into my circle, my programs, pretty much goes through this process first. And it's just a little trial month just to make sure that you're ready for a deeper transformation, man. Right, a deeper transformation. So happy days indeed. I will see you next Sunday with my main man. If you can see him there, little ramble, and aye, have a good one.